We've all heard at some point in our life about Marie Curie. She was one of the most influential scientists of the 20th century. She currently has the prestigious record of having 2 Nobel Prizes in different fields. She didn't only discover 2 new elements, but also gave us a lot of information about radioactivity. What not everyone knows is the personal struggle she went through in this process. Marie Curie was born and raised in Warsaw, Poland in 1867. Her given name was Maria Solomea Sklodowska. She was the young one of a family that consisted of 5 children. Her father and mother were well-respected teachers that decided to stay in the country, not paying attention to the political problems it was going through. Especially the country was torn and divided back in the 19th century. The different bands were between Austria, Prussia, and Russia. Curie's parents were Polish patriots that were rebels who didn't agree with the division and were fighting against it. Because of it, Sklodowska had not lost only wealth but position as well. So you could say without a doubt that she didn't have an easy start in life. When she grew up, she started to have problems because of her gender. She exceeded in her academic formation in school and wanted to continue learning in a university, but she couldn't be accepted on any because of her gender. She decided to strive and enrolled in an underground college known as the Flying University, which was founded by Polish patriots. At one point, Curie worked as a governess to maintain her sister, Bronislawa, and help her go to medical school and become a doctor. In 1890, she was invited to Paris by her sister because she'd moved there with her husband, Kazimierz Gluski. She took the invitation but didn't move right away because she was short on funds. She continued to work as a governess and study at the Flying University, as well as practical chemistry lessons at Warsaw's Museum of Industry and Agriculture, especially in the laboratory. 1891 arrived, and she finally had the time and the money to take her sister's invitation and move to Paris, starting a new chapter of her life and even changing her name from Maria to Marie. Curie enrolled in a very different type of life. She began studies at the University of Paris and lived in a garret nearby the Latin Quarter. Books have told us that Curie lived a very frugal life at the beginning in Paris, with cold winters and hunger that even caused her to faint. But Marie Curie was not a quitter, and she strived to pursue her studies in math, chemistry, and physics. She ate and supported herself teaching different subjects in the evening. In 1893, she finally earned her physics degree and a full job in a laboratory. She'd finally done it. This fellowship also helped her to earn a second degree the next year. Marie was not a stranger regarding matters of the heart. She was introduced to the Frenchman Pierre Curie by a mutual Polish friend and physicist Joseph Wierzut Kowalski. Monsieur Curie was a teacher at the School of Physics and Chemistry, and he had much in common with Marie, especially their interest in natural sciences. Pierre did not waste any time and asked Marie to marry him, but she had another plan. She wanted to return to Warsaw, so she turned him down. She went back in 1894 to Warsaw to enroll at Warsaw University, but her application was denied again. Impressively, the university was still not accepting women. She felt terrible because of the rejection, but with the encouragement of Pierre, she went back to Paris and started her studies for a doctorate. Marie and Pierre married in July 1895. She decided to wear a lovely and straightforward blue dress to the ceremony, a garment that became her trademark in the lab for many years to come. They not only had the common interest of science, but they also shared a love for cycling. This is how one of the most durable and incredible science partnerships began. She decided to take an interest in the study of X-rays, which were discovered by the German physicist Wilhelm Röntgen in 1895. But at the time, no one knew how they worked. But they did know something that made Curie very curious. French scientist Henri Becquerel had discovered that the chemical element uranium emitted X-rays without any external power source. This ignited a light bulb over Curie's head, and she started to look into it with a piece of equipment that her husband had designed years earlier. The invention was an electrometer, which measured electrical charges. Marie later discovered that uranium gave off a load, and she believed that it had come from the atoms of the uranium. This also was proof that atoms were divisible in comparison to what was thought at the time. This is one of the most critical conclusions Curie made. Not all was science. Back in 1897, Curie's first child was born. They called her Irene. Then another daughter, Eve, that followed in 1904. Marie made very sure that her daughters learned Polish very well and always took them to visit her hometown. Then in 1898, Curie made an incredible discovery of two new elements in the periodic table, polonium and radium. This discovery made her win her first Nobel Prize in 1903. She won it with Pierre and Henry Becquerel. The Royal Swedish Academy of Science chose them for their remarkable work on radiation. The Curies were actually the couple that invented the term radioactivity, and Marie was the very first woman to win a Nobel Prize. After this incredible highlight of her life, tragedy struck into her family. Pierre died in an accident on the street. She was devastated, but she didn't stop her work in discovering all about radioactivity. She took the chair that Pierre filled in the University of Paris. She was the first woman to become a professor at the institute. The second Nobel Prize was awarded to her in 1911, this time for her remarkable work on chemistry. This was the time that her scientific work started to take a toll on her and her health. At the time, no one knew about the effects of radioactivity in the human body and was seen as an entirely beneficial phenomenon. They used it for creams and products. Marie did not cover or protect herself from radiation when she worked. She just put test tubes full of radioactive materials right into her pocket. She also worked as a radiologist operating mobile X-ray units during World War I, which exposed even more to high doses of radioactivity. She actually went blind because of the exposure. The exposure led to her death. It's actually quite remarkable that she survived for so long. She died in 1934 at the age of 66 of aplastic anemia. The notes that she handwrote have so much radiation that they're held at the Bibliothèque Nationale in Paris. Her cookbooks are just too radioactive to be handled. Marie Curie did so much for the advancement of science, and in the end, she paid for the discoveries with her life.